Good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and I do have to get through this one quick because Paul's mom's coming over in like less than 30 minutes. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, a few comments. Alright, folks. For those who follow me for JD versus AH. My final comments until she messes up again. Whether you agree with what was done or not, at least for the time being, it is over. I know for a lot of folks this has become like a major point of your life, and maybe you feel a little at a loss. I don't. Mainly because, Agape, JRC, and a whole other slew of shit that is coming down the turnpike for me and for this channel. That being said, it's time to get about the getting back to real life. All of us, myself included, became a little too addicted to Twitter. To the point that random dramas would start out of nowhere. I'm going to take this time to spend less time on social media. I'll still be here. I'll still be fighting the JRC and still fighting Agape. What I mean by this is maybe it's a time of refocus. You know what I mean? One fight is over. There are many other fights to be had. I would welcome you to join ours. Because believe me, our particular fight against places like Agape, against places like the JRC. You think you saw corruption watching this case. You haven't seen shit yet. I invite you to pore over the legal and other documents regards to the JRC by going to the description box and clicking on Autistica Hoya's massive archive. I would encourage you to watch the videos, read the articles, watch the YouTube videos on the things that are going on with Agape. I would encourage you to go to ASAN's website where you will see numerous fights that the whole disability and neurodiversity movements are involved in and have been involved in for years. In actuality, the work is never truly done. And we can use all the outside help we can possibly get. What I wish from all this, whether we agree with it or not, we can at least respect that it was his decision to make. It might be hard for some to do so, and I get that. Maybe I might have been a little bit more upset if I didn't already have other fights going on. Legal battles, what have you, coming out my ears. But take a moment to pause, reflect, maybe not spend so much time on social media, myself included. And start paying attention to the other things that are going on out there in the world. Get involved. This is not the only case, I promise you that. Not even the only case of its kind. If you all think Me Too is over and defeated, I've got news for you. It's not even close to dying. The vitriol and the hate towards male victims and the refusal for people to accept the fact that they exist is still alive and well. So, again, I know I'm babbling here. I apologize. Please take a moment. It's Christmas time. Take a break from all of it. Step back. Go hang out with your families. Celebrate the one victory that he doesn't have to deal for shit anymore, at least for now. Allow yourself to detox from all of this. It's been 3 years of mudslinging, insane bullshit. There's been doxing. There's been swatting. There's been mass insanity. There's been dramas within the community. Maybe detox a little bit. And then once you come back after Christmas fresh, just keep your eyes out. This was a battle. I've always said that. For me, it was just one of the small pieces in a far larger war that I've been fighting ever since I was 19 years old. All right, in the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It is written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's quote-unquote behavioral modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they do not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so please, folks, read that article and share on all your social media. We also have NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC has the balls to see through with their threat. We got the pertinent links to the Agape boarding school case. I can't brain. Agape Boarding School is a Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has over 21 allegations, claims, and civil lawsuits leveled against it, all of it corroborated by the hard evidence found by the independent investigations done by the Department of Social Services out here in Missouri. These allegations include sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking and starvation, and that's just for starters. You want to talk about corruption, folks? You want to talk about a case worth fighting? You want to talk about some of the dirtiest, scummiest, corruptive shit I have seen in my life this side of the JRC? That's Agape. We've got one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another a doctor who still lives on the premises with access to the boys, up on multiple substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the students there. You got an attorney general who can't seem to figure out how to do his job, and a governor who's ate up on a power trip. So please share those articles on all your social media. Don't forget to share and sign the Change.org Shut Agape Boarding School Down petition. Folks, we can use all hands on this fight. We can really use all hands on this fight. Right now, they have quietly, once again, kicked the can down the road, in which case they are putting off any further persecution of Agape Boarding School and onto this next upcoming summer. I expect they're going to try to quell the entire thing completely. So please, if you're still looking for a case, if you need a fight, if you're just in it now and you're in that mentality, come right aboard. We've got a lot of things to teach you and show you. All right? Please share all those links on your social media. Please do all of that. And as far as cases go that go way, way back, if you want court documents, we got court documents. You want DESI reports, we've got them. You want behavioral sheets, we've got them. Medical evidence, we have ER documents. We've got it all. And that's all the links that are pertinent to the Stop the Shocks campaign. All of that I mentioned can be found in Autistic Hoya's massive archive. We also have a link to Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut to Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Don't forget to go over to ASAN's website, sign up for action alerts, because not only are we fighting JRC, we're fighting income inequality. We're fighting the existence of workshops where people make pennies a day. Yeah, when I said this is a small keg in a far larger war on multiple fronts, I'm not kidding around and I'm not mincing words. So please look at all those links. Don't forget to share and sign the change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and use your headphones, all right? This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and talk about dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and watching this channel, parental supervision is advised. Trigger warning, we are about to descend into the mad ravings of a lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear lies, gaslighting, biased, victim blaming, abuse, apologencia, and ableism enough to go around the world about 3 times. So, be prepared for that, all right? All right, let's get into it, shall we? I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. Unfortunately, all these drugs have negative and sometimes permanent side effects, which can include liver damage, which can cause premature death, hyperglycemia, tardive dyskinesia, a disfiguring condition in which muscles twitch constantly and for which there is no cure, tremors, headaches, fatigue, tachycardia, rapid heart rate, blurred vision, sedation to the point of constantly being in a stupor, being unable to stay awake in school and sleeping all day, massive weight gain, leading to diabetes, shortened lifespan, premature death. Okay, all of us who've ever had to take drugs in our life know of these risks. All of us who do our homework also realize that it is a small margin of people. Remember all these people freaking out, but COVID deaths. Here's the thing about medicine, folks. Are you going to stop taking cold medicine because it makes you sleepy? No, because what do you risk if you do not take it? The cold to become longer, the cold to get worse, the cold turn into something where you might end up with something like pneumonia, bronchitis, the flu. The fact of the matter is, all this stuff that he is reading off to you, these things happen in a extremely small margin of individuals. Very, very small. Doctors will put these warnings in there because it is an FDA standard. However, for those of us who do need to be on medication, the alternative of not having that there, when supplemented with proper treatment and therapy, far outweighs any very small risk of any of these things actually happening to you. Why does Dr. Matthew Israel use them then, if the margin of people who are affected like this are so small? Because it's a scare tactic. Remember, above all else, JRC is a business, a psychotic business, but a business nonetheless. On top of being a doctor, he's being a salesman here. So what is he doing? He is trying to drown out the competition. What is the competition? Logical and responsible use of medications married with proper therapy and a proper treatment program that doesn't involve torture. He's going to use all these extreme reactions, which happen to a very small portion of people, to scare you into his way of thinking and sign your kid up so he can make $280,000 a year off of their heads too. As disturbing as it is, it is a business. In business, what do you need to do? You got to beat the competitor. How do we beat competitors? Well, you ever seen a political campaign? It's mudslinging. You got to take it into context and do your research. This is why I say you can't just take anyone's, no, not even your doctor's word for it. You got to do your own homework. Okay? So, yeah. Now he's going to use numbers that, when you compare it to the whole of the rest of reality, makes no comprehensive sense. Not even to me. And I hate math with a special burning level of hatred that is about the equivalent of 5 exploding suns. Alright, consider, for example, the 2 atypical antipsychotic drugs, Seroquel and Zyprexa. Oh, fucking... You're gonna come into my wheelhouse, doctor? Let's do this. During 2006-2008, there were 2,742 deaths reported to the FDA, in which the 2 drugs alone were reported to be the primary suspected cause. Again, the math doesn't work, does it? I want you to think about the fact that we have over 1 billion people on this planet right now. At some point, I expect us to get into double-digit billions as a population. When you take that into consideration and then compare these deaths, that is actually an extremely small number of individuals that are affected. I also want you to note this. If you see it here, suspect it. This is where that mudslinging comes into effect. But he's also using these words so he doesn't find himself under a lawsuit against a industry that has enough money and high-paid, overblown attorneys to wreck his life into utter ruin. Suspected is not proved. I want to say that again for the idiots in the back. Suspected is not proved. There are no medical documents to back up his claims. That's why he uses the language that he does. If he had unequivocal proof that, in fact, 2,742 deaths were actually caused by these drugs, he would have done so. And he wouldn't have obscured it with his stupidity. Okay? The numbers don't work. So even playing devil's advocate, that is still, because we're considering people not just from even the US, but all over the world. That is an extremely small number, folks. And we also do not know how convenient for him what other factors may have been playing a role. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that these drugs can't be dangerous. All drugs are dangerous. We know this, even when we take them as prescribed. The particular drugs that he's talking about, if taken to the extreme and not as dictated by a doctor, can wreck your shit. That goes without saying. However, to the extremes that he's trying to infer happens extremely rarely. Extremely rarely. I want you to think about this too. The number of current cases of people with autism and various other disabilities is well into the millions. Well into the millions. Put that in the context of that number. Yeah. You see where I'm going with this, don't you? And again, remember, there are other factors out there. We don't know what other health issues these individuals may have had. We don't know what environmental factors that they have been exposed to. We don't know if they may have been on other medication, if they were taking illegal drugs along with it, if they were drinking. There is a lot of circumstances that are left blank. This is why I always say, use your head. Don't just read and believe things. Think. Think, folks. Because that is something you have to do, especially with someone who has a horrific product to sell you. These horrors that he listed happens to an extreme minority of folks. Most doctors, even though he wants to paint them as the fucking boogeyman, if a medicine is not working, if it is causing any of these, no matter how it affects the person, even if it's an extremely small amount, you get yanked off those drugs. How do I know this? Because I was on Seroquel for a very short time. Now, to put the lie to his words, Seroquel did not in any way, shape, or form push me into a complete unresponsive stupor. That is a lie. What it did do was make me extremely tired all the time. I was still able to focus and do my work, talk, have conversations, and go to school while I was on that particular drug. But I was constantly drained all the time, which is not so good when you're going to high school part of the day, doing college classes the other part of the day, and doing 30-hour work weeks, sometimes more on top of it. So, did my doctor continue to force it on me like Dr. Matthew Israel would have you believe? Did he leave it on there until one of these other symptoms popped up? No. He took me off the medication, and he tried me on something else. Okay? We got to start living in reality here. These people, among other things, are salesmen. Always remember that. Always remember that. I'm going to close out on that, folks. I do have his mother coming over in 6 minutes. So I will be back probably in about an hour or so. We don't get very many reviews. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please, folks, don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this morning. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.